Hello, my name is Pat. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I sat down to film because if you didn't know, I got COVID and now I'm feeling better, like the best almost 2 weeks of having COVID. I took a test the other day to determine if I still am COVID positive, and the results probably are going to be here tomorrow. So I'm pretty positive I'm not infectious anymore. Things are just looking up now. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to read more. With every new year, a lot of us make new goals for the year. And for me and a lot of readers, a large part of that is our reading goals. I know that many of us want to read more. So whether you're someone who's getting back to reading again, something that I've heard a lot with all of us staying home, or someone who just wants to increase their books read, I hope that you will find this helpful. Over the years, I've had a lot of different experiences that has changed my relationship with reading. So these tips are going to be from my own personal experiences. So if you have other tips, let us know down below. So first one, start easy. Start close to your interests. If you're starting to read again, start reading books that you remember loving or something that you're currently interested in. For example, I'm a psychology graduate, so I'm interested with anything that has to do with human behavior, the brain, and everything in between. I'd pick either a book that has elements of those in fiction or non-fiction, or that has those specific topics. If you remember loving contemporary fiction, contemporary romance, fantasy romance, literary fiction, general fiction, mystery thrillers, whatever genre, I would suggest googling books that are under those genres. And so in relation to this tip is tip number 2, that is to make a storygraph account. I love this site and this has changed so much from when it first started. When I first joined the storygraph, it didn't have an app yet. And if you have a Goodreads account, like even an old Goodreads account, you can easily follow the steps that are available on the site as well that will detail how to transfer your Goodreads data into your storygraph account. Now, once you've made your storygraph account, you can get recommendations based on your preference or if you're looking for a specific book. So once you've set up your account, you can see recommendations on like the home page itself. If you don't see it, just click on the button that says explore, and there you will see you can input what mood you're in for, what pace, if it's non-fiction or fiction, what page number, what genre. You can choose if you want to see books that are already in your to be read shelf or books that you already own or not. It's a great site with features that the creators are always updating on and improving on based on the user's experience. So they're always on Twitter or Instagram or their other social media sites where their users are telling them of features that they want to see or improvements of certain features that they already have. So it's a really great site and it's for free. It can be paid, but access that you have for the entire site on the free account is pretty much all that you need. It's great. And besides that, adding a book here like that you read is so satisfying. Under this, you can also go to different sites to look for recommendations, either here on YouTube or Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Look for book accounts and even under specific genres that you're interested in. Follow publishers that you know publish your favorite books, or if you're not aware, just search for publishers like Penguin, Harper Voyager, Orbit, and you can sign up for their newsletter. BuzzFeed Books as well, I'm signed up for that personally. Epic Reads, Book Riot, and for some of these sites you can choose if you want to get notifications of certain genres or like certain authors. And following these and seeing these book accounts on your social media account can motivate you, inspire you to read more. But be careful with comparing yourself though. Your reading journey is your own, so it should not be any less or any more compared to other people. That's one thing that I want to emphasize. You're on your own journey. Don't let negative comparisons affect you. Use them as motivations instead. Now, if you found a book that you're interested in, but you're intimidated and you're having a hard time sitting down and reading, you can try the pomodoro technique. If you're not aware what this is a very popular work technique that has been adopted by people who study, and also you can adopt into reading. So the basic idea of the pomodoro technique is that you break down your work or your study, or in our case, your reading, into 25-minute intervals, and then taking 5-minute breaks in between. So those intervals are called pomodoro. So 25 minutes of you doing your work and then your 5-minute break. So every 4 pomodoros that you do, you take a longer break of 15 to 20 minutes. But if you find that the 25 minutes is too long for you, you can break it down even more. This is actually what I used to do. So I break down my work either to 10 to 15 minute intervals, take a 5-minute break, and on the next one I do 15 to 20 minutes of work, 5-minute break, 20 to 25 minutes of work, 5-minute break. But your break has to be a real break. It can't be like a break where you're like absorbing what you're reading. If you want to do that, especially if you're studying, include that in your 20 or 25 minute work schedule. So for the 25 minutes, use the 20 minutes of you actually studying the last 5 minutes of you like going back and like absorbing everything, and then take your break. Your break has to be an actual break. So walk away from what you're reading, walk away from what you're working on or you're studying, drink a cup of coffee, walk around, maybe water your plants, whatever. It has to be an actual break to take you away from that work. To me, the idea of the Pomodoro technique is that you're starting fresh again every break. One thing that I know a lot of people say that they don't have time to read, and sometimes it grates on me or rubs me the wrong way when people say that yes, you do find a time. And it's like, it's true, I get it, but sometimes it's said or shown in a very insensitive way or like very aggressive way. Yes, I do believe that a lot of us have the time to do it and we just need to find it. But for some people, it's a lot harder to do, especially depending on how your days go. Some do have downtimes, but it might be where one needs like completely nothing to do, or just reading is just not the downtime that you need. Emphasis on need, because I know I have days where I like need just complete silence, complete nothingness. I need that nothingness to just kind of completely reset from the day that I've had. And a lot of the times, my downtime, my relaxing time is reading, but sometimes I just need that day or that time where I'm not doing anything. I'm not reading, I'm not listening to anything, I'm not hearing anything, just complete nothingness. So that's my tip. If you can find a time, sometimes it's going to be you taking time out of like some of the habits that you already have. Like for example, if you know that you need to spend less time on social media, then take some of the time that you spend on social media or watching TV, whatever it is, take that chunk of time to read if you can. It doesn't have to be hours of set aside time for you to read. If you only have 20-30 minutes before bed to read, that's great. That's 20-30 minutes of you reading. In this case, never force yourself to find a time, to set aside time. Really think about what you need for yourself. If you can find a time in just certain days, do that. Never force yourself to read. And slowly this might become habit for you. That's just like how it's become for me. Every day is a reading day for me. I always find a time every day to read. Whether I already know what's going on in a day or I don't, I usually have either like 15 to 20 minutes sometimes of me just resting where I can read. If physically reading is difficult for you, then use audiobooks or ebooks. I used to read almost exclusively ebooks because it was the most convenient and it was the most accessible for me. I had my school library, but I had a limited selection, especially since I went to Catholic schools. So, very limited selections, but I loved my library back then. I used to borrow like every week because we have like a certain, like a set amount of time, set amount of books that you can borrow. So I would like borrow 5 books every week. Sometime during the week, I will change that because I need to read like a book a day. I used to read a book a day. And having ebooks is convenient because I have a selection of books everywhere I go. I just need my phone. I know that a lot of people find that they've read more ever since they got an e-reader, either on their phone or like an actual like e-reader. And I used to be unable to listen to audiobooks because it just wasn't for me. But over the years, I have come to enjoy reading in tandem, physically and while listening to the audiobook, or sometimes if I want to read the book while I'm doing the laundry or cooking or cleaning, doing any mindless task, like I just turn the audio on a physical book that I'm currently reading. A lot of my ebooks and all of my audiobooks are from my library. If you live where getting a library card is very, very accessible, it's very easy, do it. Where I live, you only need like a proof of address to get a library card, and I can have access to a plethora of services outside of just books. I can have like printed forms. There are like different kind of study group or like sessions by the library that are very, very helpful. But if you have multiple library cards, if you're able to, you can link Libby or Overdrive or Hoopla with your library cards and have access to all these ebooks, audiobooks, even films and TV shows. It's great. It's amazing. Now, if you have your book and if you're not really enjoying it, drop it. There are millions of other books that you can pick up. If you really want to read the book, let yourself read it over a longer period of time. You don't have to finish a book in a month. Let yourself read it and absorb little bits of it every day, especially if it's that kind of book that really needs like time for you to, absorb it. Like for me, I read Cosmos, I think almost 2 years ago now, and I still haven't continued it. It's a soft DNF because it's a very dense book. It's a very scientific heavy book, but I'm so interested in it. I remember loving like the first part, I just kind of burned out from reading it because it was very scientific, very heavy. I was enjoying it, but I felt like I just had a little bit too much input. So I kind of put it down, but I'm still interested in reading it. I haven't picked it up again, but it's one of those like soft DNFs. Like I know I will go back to it. It's another thing. Put it down and pick it up again when you feel like you can read it again, or if you feel like picking it up. Now let's get into reading slumps. Over the years, I found that reading slumps are inevitable to me. Like I get some every year. So I just let it happen. If you really cannot pick up a book, maybe you feel like doing something more physical, biking, hiking, doing yoga, walking, running, do it. If you really cannot pick up a book and you find that you just need to move around, go ahead and do that. Or if you want to watch that new movie or the K-drama or TV series, go ahead and do it. Or maybe you can find a different format. You can read mangas, manhwas, fanfics, listen to a podcast, or if you really want to try to read a book, read a book that you love, that you can quickly skin and scam, that will give you that, feeling or maybe motivation or inspiration to pick up another book after. Or pick up from an author that you're very confident in, an author that you love. Or sometimes these slumps are brought about by reading a book that we love. So if you love that book, let yourself take the time to absorb it. Let it sink in. You can write about it, share it, and this is where social media comes in. Having a book account or following book accounts where you can just talk about and share about the book that has put you into a slump. Let yourself absorb it. Let yourself take it in. Don't force yourself. Don't punish yourself for being in a slump. Once you feel like you can read again, and once you feel like you want to read again, then start slow. Start slow again. Again, reread if you need to. Pick up from a genre that you love, or a topic that you're interested in. Be gentle with yourself. These slumps happen, especially if you read a lot, or you're still getting used to reading. It will happen to whoever reads the book. It's a reading slump. It will happen. So be gentle with yourself and never force yourself, and never hate or punish yourself for not reading. Reading to me is very enjoyable, and whenever I would put like very strict or very certain restrictions for myself, it takes away the enjoyment that I have. So whenever I find myself doing it, because sometimes I still do it, whenever I find myself doing it, I walk away. I let myself not read, even though I hate when I don't read, even just like a few pages every day. I let myself do it, especially if I need it. Yeah, so those are all the tips that I have for you right now. I hope find these helpful. Again, if you have other tips, please share them and have a discussion down below on especially like reading slumps and DNFing books. Yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys found this very helpful again, and thank you. I will see you on my next video.